Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. And I'm going to be going over an update for my Invoked Shaddolls. Invoked Prediction Princess Shaddolls, pretty much 3 decks in one. This was my favorite variation of the deck. I actually stopped. The first reason why I stopped playing it was because I decided to take the Invokes out. And then, if you guys remember, I was playing Invoked True Dracos for a very long time, for like 3 or 4 months, I think. And then I ended up, I think I built Pure Invoke, then I did Invoke Spellbooks, then I just sold my Invoke Core. So like I just got the new, the reprinted Invoke stuff, and I got the Link Monsters. So I decided to rebuild my Invoke Shaddolls. My Invoke Prediction Princess Shaddolls, because I think it's just so savage. I love how the deck operates, and it has so many plays. Like, you cut one play off, it has another route. Like, it's linear in the fact that it's very heavy on fusion summon, but it can still ritual and it can still link, and it doesn't really need extra deck all the time to make plays, and I like it mainly because it's a really fun ritual deck that you can do a lot of combos with and make plays, and it also has this awkwardly high ceiling considering what kind of deck it is. I really love it a lot. So without further ado, we're gonna hop right into the main deck, and it's 50 card Shaddolls, by the way. So we have triple Terror Tray. As I said in the previous video, this card is a combo playmaker. It's a starter card, like not little like a spell starter card, but it starts your combos. It's a combo extender, it is a follow-up, and is a good recovery card because it recurs from the graveyard every turn. It's really busted. It's just, and then on top of all of the categories that I just mentioned, it's a during either player's turn disruption too. So it's just built-in, dynamic, versatile. It's so good. Like, it does a lot of different things. Like, bro, she's just broken. She really is. 2 Pot of Forbidden, her best friend, Sword and Shield, Attacker, Defender. The only effect the Pot of Forbidden that's once per turn is the Mind Crush. Look at your opponent's hand, shuffle 1 from the hand into the deck. Everything else, you can Raigeki all you want. You can, not Heavy Storm, but you can Giant Trunade all you want. And you can draw as many cards as possible because he is Pot of Greed. The effect that I use the most excessively is draw 2 if I'm going first. Any time after that, if I have to, I'll Raigeki the field. I don't mind it because it's pretty free. Because you keep looping and recurring him every single turn. Like, once you have 1 engraved, you could just keep it in rotation. And then against back row heavy decks, you just bounce. And also against Sky Strikers, if you're able to successfully resolve his effect, and like if you could play the Widow Anchor, bounce everything else. If it got multi-rolled, it just all gets banished. Not saying that that's gonna happen all the time. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. This card's a really, really good card. Those are pretty much like your main deck boss monsters. And then we do play triple Alistair. He's the only valuable normal summon of the deck. In fact, a lot of times in my other Shaddoll build, I was normaling Shaddolls just so I can use Spellbook of Knowledge on them. Like, I just really didn't have, like, there was a one valuable normal summon to Spirit of the Fallen, but like, she's just not that great in this build because your normal always has to go to Alistair. And you see him pretty consistently, and the invoked portion of the deck really contributes to the actual aggression that comes from that going towards your Shaddoll plays. It allows you to like consistently pump out your Shaddoll fusions a lot faster. We have some Shaddolls, of course. We have triple Hedgehog, double Squamata, double Beast, double Falco, 1 Dragon. I just play 10 Shaddolls. In my pure list, I do play triple Squamata because that card's just insanity. But in order to make space for basically hybrid variations, you gotta cut cards. But I find it's easier to cut cards that you already play excessive amounts of, like 3 of, so that way you don't lose anything. You just lose like 1 extra copy basically, but you still get to play the same cards, if that makes sense. It's like I wouldn't cut a dragon because then like I lose an actual card, but cutting one of the Squamatas is fine because you still have Squamatas in your deck. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And then my one-offs, I have 1 Tendego Angel and 1 Summoner of the Illusions. Both of these are really good one-offs. Tendego Angel is basically Monster Reborn, or it can special from hand. It's flip. If it's flipped, it specials 1 flip effect monster from your hand or your graveyard. And if it's your opponent's battle phase, you end the battle phase. So you can use this to be very, very reactive to your opponent. And also you can use it to get out your Pot of the Forbidden as well, which can help you. Or you could just extend your plays, because it's tough to get a bunch of flip effect monsters on the board like within the progression of 1 turn. But like turn 1, you're normally able to bare minimum get out Pot of Forbidden, on your good hands, turn 1, you can get out a lot more than that. But this, doing it on your opponent's turn, sets you up for the next turn, so you get multiple flip effect monsters, so you can make your Link, make your Subterra Behemoth Phoenix, and then you can start really going to town on them. And then the Summoner of Illusions, I like him a lot because this deck's pretty fusion heavy, and I sometimes find myself having trouble getting into the different attribute fusions. Like, Mechaba is pretty easy because, like, you can search her, like, fairly consistent. You have the 3 pre-preps, the 3 terraforms, and the 3 field spells. You have 9 extra ways to get to her, plus she's at 3, so you have 12 ways to see a light. So you don't really have an issue with Mechaba. But, like, getting out fires for Purgatrio and Gristia, it's sometimes tough, so I'll basically pick which one is expendable. Like, I'll flip him, use his effect. Sometimes I just bring out Purgatrio and then fuse with it and a Shaddoll to make Grista if I'm trying to be reactive. If I'm trying to be aggressive, then I'll flip him and I'll bring out the Gristia, and then I'll fuse with him to make Purgatrio. Then I'll get Gristia's effect. If I did not use Invocation, I'll get Gristia's effect from Grave to fetch another Shaddoll fusion. That way I have recovery and follow-up plays, and I can, like, grab El Shaddoll, and then I can, like, still make pushes. So I like it. It doesn't fusion summon, but it still special summons 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. It's a really spicy and unique card. A lot of, like, in fact, I don't really know any decks that play it, but, like, a lot of Shaddoll lists should at least try taking this out. It's really good in this build because of the invokes, and because you, like I was just telling you right now, you need certain attributes, and because you don't main deck any other attributes besides light, earth, and dark, like, you can't really get into your fire fusions, you know, or, like, the water if you want to play it, so it just really helps a lot. There are other ways, like Shaddoll Core is another way you can do it, but you just want to be able to have multiple ways to get into your different plays. That's pretty much it for the monster count. And then the spells, which this deck has a hefty amount. Oh, whoops. That's supposed to be in here. Whoops. Okay, so anyways, getting to the spells. So it's fairly consistent. The deck does have, like, crazy deck thinning. That's why I felt like it's okay to play more than 40, because this deck has extremely high searchability, and it doesn't really break, and it doesn't have issues with getting to the cards it needs. So first we have 3 copies of that hot sauce. You gotta play 3 in this deck. Seeing Alistair is so important because no matter what, he guarantees you to have a play. And then we have triple Las Vegas. The other field spell, you play 3 of each. It is a 50-card deck. You need to see these. This helps a lot for your Shaddoll pushes, because if you have this on the field, your opponent can't respond to your Shaddoll fusion, and they can't, like, respond to your El Shaddoll fusion. So it kind of just helps, like, if you're playing going second. I think that they can still Ash it, because Ash doesn't negate the activation, it just negates the effect. But if I'm wrong and they cannot Ash Shaddoll fusion, then that's even better. But I'm pretty sure that they still can. And anyways, that's just one of the benefits. Magical Meltdown does protect your Shaddoll plays, and also, you know, it gives you an additional spell to load you in your grave for your Las Vegas. You're able to pump 9 spells in your grave every single turn 1 with this deck. That's one of the main reasons why I play so much spells, because I want to be able to load my grave with this, so that way I can use my Terra Tray, and I can use her for a fodder, whether it's Link, Fusion, or however I want to do it. And I really just want to resummon her again and then make Calamities. Like, so that's what I really like doing in this deck. Ritual Sanctuary is pretty redundant. And even bare minimum, if you need a light for your Alistair, you can use this effect to search Terra Tray and pitch her from hand, and then to fuse and then make Mechaba, and then you can recur her off of pre-preparation of rites, get her back from the grave, and you can summon her, and you have 2 level 9s. You can just make a Calamities if you want to. So really consistent. These search exactly what you need from your deck to your hand, and then we play triple Optimus Prime to get to these field spells. It's extremely important to maximize your ways to get to Alistair, because getting to Alistair not only opens the door for the invoke plays, but getting to Alistair also enables your Shaddoll plays to resolve pretty quickly, because you have to waste quite a few resources if you want to trigger Hedgehog to search a Shaddoll fusion, because, like, you have to set it and then flip it with Terra Tray. And I really like to use Terra Tray on my Pot of the Forbidden, but, like, if I have to, I'll do it. But that's why I like the Invoked spells, the Invoked engine, because Invocation allows me to pump out Shaddoll fusions without wasting Terra Tray's effect on Hedgehog to search. I mean, sometimes you do hard draw the Shaddoll fusions and El Shaddolls, but, like, when you don't have them, the Invocation is really good, because it could just fusion summon for your Shaddolls. Make a Winda, make a Mechaba. It's just whatever the situation calls for. And then triple preparation of rights, the best spell in the game. It's my favorite spell too. It really is. Like, I don't know how many copies of this I have. I think I have like over 18. And it's just such a good spell. It's a +1 and it has grave recursion. It's just so busted, bro. It really is. And it's always live because Ritual Sanctuary can put back your ritual spell so that you can resolve it. Because in order for this card to resolve, you have to search the ritual spell first, and then you add the monster from grave or deck. And then we have more deck thinners. Triple Allure. It's really just for deck thinning. You have a lot of darks in this deck, and it also helps you to filter your hand. Get kind of dead cards out and replace them with better cards. Like when you have either one too many Alistairs, or when you have like that one of Angel, or sometimes you just have the wrong Shaddolls and you're just like, you don't really need them. Allure of Darkness really helps because when you're digging, you have a lot of good cards that you can draw into, especially when you're drawing two. It kind of nearly guarantees that you're going to get a better play. I also played Triple Secrets. The reason why I played Triple Secrets is because I chose not to run Blue Boy because my normal summon has to go to Alistair every single time. This deck can't make Nightmare Goblin, and we're not playing Green Fusion, so you can't like normal Blue Boy and then normal Alistair. The normal has to go to Alistair every single time. And sometimes you just normal your Shaddolls for your knowledge if you really don't have any way to get to Alistair. But it's always live because your deck's full of spellcasters. You can even play Secret Village if you wanted to take that route. Because if you look at Alistair, he's a spellcaster. Winda's a spellcaster. You can have your opponent locked down. And you do play triple terraforming, so you could just throw in one Secret Village, have Winda and the Secret Village. That's a strong block. One special summon, no spells. That's pretty solid. But the Secret's really, really good. And even though it's hard once per turn, you got to think of it. Like, your field spells are hard once per turn. Your pre-preps are hard once per turn. You can play good cards that are hard once per turn simply because they're good and play them at 3 because you want to see them. And this is one of those cards. Like, I really want to see it. It loads more spells in my graves. It allows me to get another +1. And it just really helps me to accelerate. It just changes the tempo. Then we do play Double Pot of Desires. You have so many triplets in this deck. It's ridiculous. There's never really anything that's going to hurt except if you like banish all 3 of your Terra Trays. That's never ever happened to me, not once. That's the only time it would hurt. I don't care if I banish all 3 of my Alistairs. This deck can play without Alistair. If I banish all my Shaddolls, then that might just be it. But I play 10 Shaddolls, and that means Desires has to banish all 10. So the reality is Desires never hurts your deck. And I only have 1 Knowledge right now. I would be playing 2 if I had to. But the cool thing is you can actually recycle this with your Ritual Sanctuary, Las Vegas. And then you just can search it again with the second Secrets and just make everything live again, and you can do the whole Knowledge play. So the cool thing is, even though you play 1, you can resolve it multiple times. The deck's really consistent. That's not an understatement. So that's pretty much it for all your deck thinners. All these are starter cards. These are all starter cards. You have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 starter cards, and all of them deck thin. So even though it's a 50-card deck, you got to think of it like you have 21 starters. And Alistair is another starter too, so you have 24 starters. The Shaddolls aren't really starters. Yeah, so you have 24 starter cards. And even though the deck's 50, like still, like you're gonna see what you need. And then we have Triple Prediction Ritual. These spells are not your starters. These are the spells that enable your plays. So these are play enablers. Triple Prediction Ritual, Triple Invocation. Invocation, I do play it at 3 because the Alistair link enables me to pretty much excessively fuse. And at the same time, I do play Desires, and I don't want to lose all of my invocations. So playing 3 in decreases the chance of Desires banishing more, and also increases your ceiling because it enables you to OTK now with the Alistair link because you're able to spit out a lot of monsters. And you can link into the Shaddoll construct in your main zone, and then you can open up another zone so where you have 3 extra monster zones. And then at the end of it, I'll always love to just use Invocation and banish Alistair the Invoker, the link monster himself, from the field, and another card from grave to slap a bigger monster just so I can OTK and in the game. Then we have the Prediction Ritual is probably the most important spell because Terra Tray is your deck's lifeblood. It's your engine, and Terra Tray keeps you alive. She allows you to grind pretty long, like a really long time. She's quite a durable card. She really is. She's really the only reason why I find that this deck is like viable and powerful. Like if it wasn't for Terra Tray, even if this was just plain old Invoked Shaddolls just wouldn't be good enough to me. Just personal opinion. So those are your triplets. And then we still play 2 Shaddoll fusions and 2 L Shaddoll fusions because you can't knock the ceiling of these cards. Every spell has a different ceiling, but they're all high, very high ceiling. They really are, because when these resolve, there's so much like different plays that you're allowed to make after they resolve that it's almost like it snowballs into something else. So I do play the 2 because I don't want to banish all copies of them, but at the same time I can't go overboard on my playmaker spells because these require for you to have Shaddolls in hand. Invocations live nearly all the time, and Prediction Rituals live a lot too, but these are live less frequently, even though you play a lot of Shaddolls. It's just because they're situational, and I already play, you know, Invocation and Prediction Ritual. I didn't want to have break hands where I have like Shaddoll Fusion, El Shaddoll Fusion, Invocation, Prediction Ritual, and like, I don't know, like 1 Shaddoll monster. Like, so that's why I just wanted to cut down on them. They're still really good, and like I said, the field spell Magical Meltdown does complement these cards. And then the only trap in the deck, I've always played 1 Shaddoll Core. It's such a powerful card. It helps you to grind as well, and you just infinitely loop it. It's really good. You summon it as a level 9 spellcaster. It has 1950D, 1450 attack. Its best effect is on field. It's treated as any attribute you want it to be when you're fusing for your Shaddoll plays. And in addition to that, every time it hits the grave, it adds a Shaddoll spell or trap. So you basically use this, and you have a loop with this in your Shaddoll fusions. Because like you can Winda, for example, this will get back the fusion spell that you use to make Winda, and then when Winda goes, Winda will get this back, and then you use this to get the spell back. It just guarantees no matter what, you always have plays. Always have plays. That's what I mean by it helps you to grind, and it opens the door for you to make other fusion plays with attributes that you don't main deck, because this is a substitute for any attribute. It's a really good card, man. I really like the Shaddoll Core. For our extra deck, we played 2 Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. I actually wanted to cut one of them for a proxy, but the second one comes up a lot more than you think. And if the first one gets negated, I unfortunately am forced to make the second one the same exact turn, linking with it in a different attribute, like a Terror Tray or Pot of Forbidden. And then I just need it to resolve. Like, I just really need it to resolve. That's why I decided not to play the proxy. And the extra deck's so tight because you have 2 different archetypes who have really good extra deck monsters, and you can't just play like one of certain ones. Like Winda and Mechaba are absolutely, you cannot play one of them, but the other ones you can. But he's just broken. He's mainly your accelerator. Like, he always changes the game state every time you summon him, and it just makes everything easier. That's the simplest way to explain him. He makes the whole deck easier to pilot, because you're no longer under that kind of restriction of only having the 1 extra monster zone because he has the 2 down pointing arrows, and you don't really care about the once per turn clause or anything like that because he's not once per turn. And then you can just accelerate and pump invocations. And then also, if I'm not mistaken, let me see something real quick. Let me confirm it. Because, yeah, I never saw semicolons. When I read them, it says discard 1 card, and if you do, add an invocation. I never saw semicolons. So because I don't see semicolons, I just don't think he's a cost. But I'm not trying to say I'm right, so I'm really not trying to fight with anybody. But if he doesn't discard for costs, that's why I haven't like done it that way. But I do believe in theory that he can also trigger your Shaddolls, which is another plus that this archetype has, because it doesn't look like a cost. I don't see a semicolon. And because it's not a cost, theoretically, when you're pumping out your fusions, you can use him to discard a Shaddoll, trigger that to net another card, add to your hand, and then when you play your second invocation, you just use the fodder that you got off of your Hedgehog or your Beast or your Squamata, and then you get another invocation. Then you just do your whole field, and that will allow you to make your construct in the main zone, because you can hit Falco, use Terror Tray to flip it normal for turn, link it up into construct, then use construct, bring out another fusion, and then it's crazy. Like, your whole board explodes because of him. He snowballs too. And then the other 2 links we played, 1 Behemoth Phoenix and 1 construct. It's amazing that the only links that you play in this deck are the links that normally just like in the game. Like, these cards resolving is just like, it's so good, bro. Like, not only do they increase your ceiling, but they kind of nearly, if they resolve, not if they get negated, but if they resolve, they kind of nearly guarantee that you've got game. Construct's the weakest one, but I do like her because you're able to put her in the monster zone, in the main zone, and open up 1 additional zone, so you have 3. And then also the cool thing is she recurs herself from grave. So what I like to do is, for example, I'll like fuse with her, not with invocation, but with no, I'm sorry, I can't do that because it banishes But what I would have liked to do is actually link with her in a proxy and then use her to bring her back and then open up 2 more zones. You know what, you guys? I have to put Proxy Dragon in my extra deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a card and put Proxy, because that was another reason why I wanted to play Proxy, because I wanted to be able to basically use the zones, the 3 zones, use her effect, and then find a way to get her to the graveyard and then bring her back to her own effect. But, like, if this is here, I want to bring her back, like, way over here, like, way over on the far side, so I can have 2 other zones, so I can pump out 5 fusions turn 1. I mean, not turn 1, turn 2. Oh, really broken. I like the construct simply because she basically is an extender. She allows you to get a lot more monsters on the field than you naturally can because of Astro 4. Behemoth Phoenix is, like, just godly, bro. It's like Double Helix and Behemoth Phoenix came out in the same set, except Behemoth Phoenix in the right deck is better than Double Helix because it's more generic. It's for any flip decks, and it just accelerates everything. It gives you so many pluses, so much advantage, so much recursion. It just allows you to just pump out so much more monsters. And every time you resolve this, you're normally able to slap Construct there as well, because you get the extra flip effect monster on the field. You can use Territory to flip it, get its effect, and then you link up into her, and you're, like I said, your whole board's just gonna explode. So we only play these 4 links, but they always just, their game. They're just so good if they actually resolve. And then we have triple Winda. I still play 3 of her because I just find she's the best one to go into. And the format we're in right now, it's still like Gokis are really the best deck, bro. There's no denying it. And Winda absolutely slaughters that deck. If Impermanence is resolved, like, it kind of sucks. But you are able to search out Shaddoll Core to have it in your hand for Mechaba. Like, on the games that I am able to resolve Hedgehog, I normally search for Core to have it in Mechaba's hand. In the hand for Mechaba, just so that my opponent cannot impermanence the Winda. Because if they can't impermanence Winda, you pretty much just won. It's like they need to be able to special summon more than once. They really do. Winda's just so broke. She slaughters so much meta decks. We have 1 Shikinaga. Shikinaga is pretty busted too. The monster negation, the big booty. And she's so easy to make because you main deck Earths. We also play the Grista. I just find that Grista is just so broken. I have to play it. Being able to respond to summons and just negate them is just really good. It's a very, very reactive card. Winda's kind of like Floodgate-ish, but Shikinaga and Grista are really reactive. They are actually disruptions on board, which kind of give you negates. Negate. It's really good. I haven't had a game where I've actually able to successfully pump both of these out. Just because, like, I've never kept Core on the field. Like, I've always used it on my opponent's turn to make something. But that would be the dream, to just pump both of those out in the same turn. Then we have triple Mechaba. Mechaba is just one of the best invokes. Really, it is the best invoke. It's the most kind of just universal. Any situation called for, it's always nice to have a Mechaba. Whereas other invoke fusions are really specific and kind of niche sometimes. The situation has to call for it. But there's no situation that's bad with the Mechaba. It just having a negate and a potential 35 beat stick on legs is never, ever bad. And Alistair can boost Winda to be 32, which is pretty clutch as well. Like, it can come up. If your opponent tries to attack over Winda, you can use Alistair to put her to 32, or you can put this to 3450, or put this to, like, 4,000 defense. So Alistair's just, this deck really does flow. Everything seems like it's meant to be. The 1 Prayer Trio and the 1 Kaliga. Kaliga's the easiest invoked fusion to make in this deck, because, like, everything's dark. Like, everything's dark except for, like, you know, a couple monsters. Like, 6 monsters are not dark. And then I do play the 1 True King of all Chlamydia. It's just my favorite card to go into, my favorite XYZ in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, any deck that can make this, I play it. You guys know this about me. But yeah, that pretty much concludes the deck profile, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Definitely let me know your honest opinion, the feedback in the comment section below. What I actually need to do is just put Proxy Dragon in this list. I knew he was going to be broken. I really need to be able to abuse my construct. So I'm going to put Proxy in this list. I'm probably just going to cut, like, Kaliga or something. I'm going to figure it out. But extra deck's so tight, bro. But God bless you guys. Y'all have a beautiful night, okay? And y'all don't do drugs, man. Peace.